this misinformation doesn't just exist on people's internet browsers
Mm.
and on people's phones. It has real world impact. And what happened is that the real world impact of that was that we then had hundreds of people descending on the town, descending on Southport from outside of the area, intent on causing trouble, either because they believe what they've written or because they are bad faith actors who wrote it in the first place.
In this morning's Times, Lucy Bannerman describes the vigil to those killed and injured in Southport. She says it was a quiet and understated event. The tragedy was too raw for overblown speeches. The Mayor of Sefton, June Burns, struggled to find words but said, "We are having to lay flowers because some children wanted to dance." Now, what a contrast to the violence that erupted later when protesters attacked a mosque after false information spread that the attacker was a Muslim asylum seeker. Let's speak to Patrick Hurley, who is the MP for Southport. Morning to you.
Good morning.
We'll talk to you about the violence of last night in a moment, but first we wanted to focus on the peaceful people who came together to mourn the children who were killed and injured in that horrific attack. It sounds, well, what did you think of the vigil? What was going through your mind?
Well, the town was reeling from the atrocity on Monday, and the emotions were complex, and everybody was feeling scared and worried and in grief. Throughout the day yesterday, myself and a number of other people had looked to formalise arrangements for a vigil last night, and the number of people that came out onto the street was just, it was amazing to see, because like I say, the town was reeling. The town was, this is the worst atrocity in Southport in living memory. And then at 6 o'clock last night, we had literally thousands of people coming out into the town centre in a peaceful vigil to pay their respects, just to gather in a place that gave them some space to express their emotions and to hug each other and to lay flowers and to put cards down and little teddy bears people put down. And it was lovely to see the town come together in such a positive sense of solidarity and community.
Mm.
And that's the real Southport. They were the people who were hurting all yesterday, and they wanted to gather and be together.
Yeah.
And that's what we really should be thinking about today.
And yet, what we're seeing, the kind of the pictures that are being played, one of which actually some video that you've retweeted on your X account is of the aftermath of last night and the mess of it all. Now, not only are local people and people who know these children and the adults involved in this attack, not only are they having to deal with what's happened to their loved ones, but they're waking up and opening their front doors and it's just carnage everywhere. In your opinion, why did that happen last night? Was it because of this misinformation, or what happened?
Yes, precisely because of the propaganda and the lies that were being spread around on social media from within minutes of the news breaking on Monday afternoon about the tragic incident. Um, we'd had all sorts of lies being spread and misinformation being spread about the alleged perpetrator. And some people with the best of intentions, then they try to rebut this, they try to argue back. But all that happens is you're just amplifying people's false messaging. And what we saw then over the course of 24 hours from Monday afternoon up until yesterday afternoon was people, this misinformation doesn't just exist on people's internet browsers
Mm.
and on people's phones. It has real world impact. And what happened is that the real world impact of that was that we then had hundreds of people descending on the town, descending on Southport from outside of the area, intent on causing trouble, either because they believe what they've written or because they are bad faith actors who wrote it in the first place in the hope of causing community division.
How are you able to say that where these people came from, and that they weren't, that none of them were local people. I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm just wondering how you know where they came from.
Yeah, so I mean, there may well have been local people in amongst them, but the vast majority of the people that were looking at causing division and attacking the police last night, there's intelligence to suggest that they were from out of town. Now, the issue is that the police that they were attacking last night, the police vans that they set alight and that they threw bricks through the window, they were the very same first responders and the very same emergency services that had just gone through possibly the most traumatic day of their entire lives the day before, when they were having to deal with the immediate aftermath of the little girls being killed on a day when the Prime Minister had come up to Southport to personally thank the first responders and the police. And I sat with the Prime Minister yesterday for an hour in the police station,
Mm.
thanking all of these people. Within hours, they are then being attacked and their vehicles being set alight.
But not
And
only
br-
that, Patrick. But Keir Starmer was heckled himself, and when you, again, I suppose I'm using social media here, but when you retweeted Keir Starmer's statement, the replies to that are unbelievable. Liar,
yeah,
traitor, vile. Lots of stuff I can't say on the radio. I'm sure you see that stuff. Can you understand where that anger is coming from? Is that kind of just fueled by online misinformation, or is it something else?
there's not a single thing that the Prime Minister that Keir Starmer has done in the last 3.5 weeks he's been in the role that has led to the stabbings that we saw on Monday.
Mm.
There's not a single thing that anybody that is in a position of authority has done that could justify being called liars and traitors and all of this nonsense that these people are hurling on around on social media. This is a swirling morass on social media of lies and propaganda and people being given the opportunity and given the platform to say the most vile things in the most vile of circumstances.
I just wanted to
Now,
ask you also, Patrick, if I could, about the local Muslim community, because the mosque was targeted, and at one point there seemed to be a plume of smoke coming from nearby or in. Can you tell us what's happened to the mosque? Was it damaged? Was there anyone in there at the time? The people who run the mosque, the kind of the Muslim community, how are they feeling at this point?
so I'll be speaking with the leaders of the Muslim community and the people at the mosque later this morning,
Mm.
just to ascertain precisely the extent of the damage and how we can work with them to build up stronger community feeling again, and to get through this together as a local community. Um, the Muslim population in Southport, it's quite small, and they must be feeling pretty vulnerable this morning themselves.
Mm. Are
Now,
you going to give them more? Are they going to? Is there going to be a police presence outside that mosque for a while?
the operational details of what the police do will be left up to them. The last thing they want is some politician going on the radio and calling for
Mm.
X, Y, or Z for them to do things that they're not going to be looking at doing operationally. But whatever the police decide to do in this circumstance, they will have my full backing. And I think anything that they can take from last night, if they can find the alleged perpetrators of the violence last night, they will have my full backing in dealing with those people with the full force of the law.
Okay, Patrick Hurley, thank you very much. He is the MP for Southport.